Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Engineer Your Energy. I'm Caroline Milton, owner of Milton Coaching Collective, where we help individuals and organizations build out a burnout prevention plan. We're a little bit delayed this Thursday afternoon due to some technical troubleshooting that we were doing. And it's always interesting as an engineer. The identity that you hold with yourself and your capacity for understanding technology isn't always necessarily the truth. But we got things sorted out. Everything's looking good. Hopefully, you can see me and hear me just fine as I'm coming to you live on this Thursday afternoon. And today we're talking about what you can do during the changing season as we anticipate colder weather and shorter days to ensure you are burnout proof. So, what can you do in order to prevent burnout in the coming months? This is something that I talked extensively about last year, held a masterclass on this very topic, and equipped all of the attendees of that masterclass with a reflection journal for the winter months that incorporated a lot of the steps that are necessary to prioritize your well-being as the weather changes. And I wanted to touch on some of those points in a multi-part series. So today is just one part of a multi-part series where we'll be diving into this topic. So make sure that if you're not already, follow Transforming Tired hashtag or follow me on this platform so you can learn each of the tips and techniques we're talking about. But today we're going to frame the problem, right? Winter is coming. And why is it that we are more stressed, that we experience more stress, that we may experience more prevalent burnout during the winter months? Well, from a human perspective, it kind of makes sense. There are a lot of things that are set up against us during these months that are just maybe harder to access, or that are better explained when we take a closer look at the human body. So some of those reasons, we're meant during these winter months to be resting more. So there's more night time, less daylight, less sunlight, and we're meant to be sleeping more. Our bodies are meant to be in like almost a hibernation state, right? Before we had technology and the invention of electricity, we would go to bed shortly after the sunset. Maybe we would use candles for a short while, but our bodies were meant to sleep when the sun was down and be awake when the sun was up. So our bodies are used to a little bit more rest during the winter time in order to metabolize energy, make sure that our hormones are supported, and all those really necessary components. But with the invention of several different technologies, electricity included, but also all of our tech that we use, now our bodies are being stimulated after bedtime. So we're up later, our bodies are getting a little bit confused maybe with when it's day, when it's night, and it interrupts our circadian rhythm. So we tend to think of our circadian rhythm as being like a very set thing, but it does shift and change throughout the year with the amount of daylight, amount of sunlight, and amount of the absence of daylight and sunlight. So that circadian rhythm is really important. But also during the winter months, as we've evolved into a society that predominantly works indoors, we're not getting exposure to the sun. We're not getting exposure to natural light that helps with that early cortisol pulse that cues our body, hey, it's time to be productive. This is when we're metabolizing energy. This is when we're getting our work done. This is when we're hunting, gathering, working, defending, all of those important things. And so without that input of natural light, not only does our body maybe not metabolize adequate amounts of vitamin D, which is a crucial hormone in our metabolism of energy, but it's also not getting that cortisol pulse that says, hey, it's time to work. Other things that happen during the winter is our immune systems are in their busy season, right? It is prime time for our immune systems to be fighting off colds, bugs, flus, you name it. Our immune systems are in overdrive. I mean, we've been dealing with it already at our house this week, and so many people that I'm talking to right now have either just gotten over a bug or are currently dealing with a bug. And our bodies are taxed, right? Our immune system is in overdrive. And so Part of what is required for our immune system to function well is the inputs that it gets. It needs the rest and the relaxation. It needs the nutrition to back it up. It needs proper amounts of cortisol and adrenaline that we get when we experience a stress response. Because when we are overly stressed and we're experiencing all of these stressors, then our immune system responds as well. Don't worry, in the coming weeks, we're going to be talking about how to counteract all of these things. But just know that your immune system is working harder right now than it does at other times of the year. And so, as a result, your body is going to need more support. And again, we'll talk about what that support looks like in the coming weeks. And how does this affect? How do all of these things affect us? Well, it's going to affect our mood, right? The things that I've talked about, exposure to sunlight, the types of food that we're eating, our immune system function, they're all going to influence how we perceive the day. That includes our tolerance to stress. That also includes our outlook on the day, our ability to experience happiness. And while certainly not an expert on mental health, this is part of the reason why some folks struggle during winter months with serotonin levels, dopamine levels, is because of the lack of sunlight and because of the nutritional experiences. So we're going to talk about nutrition next, because our eating habits change as we head into these months, right? Whether it's the things that we're craving because it's a little chillier, and so maybe you want things that warm you up or whatnot, but it's also seasonal. What do we experience that's seasonal and fresh and accessible for us during the winter months? So you might find yourself starting to crave certain foods that you just don't crave during summer months. And as a result, our body is getting certain inputs of nutrients and lacking other inputs of nutrients. And if we start to crave a lot of like sugary foods or oily foods or unhealthy fats, for example, then that's going to cause an immune response as well. So our body is going to perceive those inflammatory things as a threat and will increase our immune system functionality, which then has that domino effect on some of the other things that we've talked about as well. So, what I'm setting you up for over the next couple of weeks is that we're going to talk about nutrition. We're going to talk about habits around movement and managing stress. We're going to talk about the importance of sleep. We're going to talk truly about stress management and how all of these factors come into play. It's going to be a really neat deep dive into the science of stress and how we can really triumph over it in the winter months and use the opportunity for this season to be the best, right? To really lean into what's available and a good opportunity for us, the things that we can create, the things that we can achieve without any resolutions. So make sure you're tuning in each week for our episodes of Engineer Your Energy. We come to you live on Thursdays at noon Central Standard Time on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook as well. So I'd love to hear from you. What's something you learned today in this episode? You can share that by dropping a comment wherever you're watching it, and we'll make sure that we see that comment and share with you. So until next week, take a deep breath. Don't forget to follow us and be well.